Nigeria House Davos 2026.
So first of all, I'm the Global CEO of Women for Women International. It's an international NGO. We work in 17 countries, particularly fragile states, and we invest in women in those states. And I say that because we're only as good or as strong in Africa as the weakest of us. And poverty is a real thing. Poverty is rife. 15 countries in Africa are currently in violent conflicts or wars. Violent conflicts cost Africa $18 billion. And so the post-conflict economy, rebuilding countries, is a thriving economy. But when you go there, you don't see Africans investing there. And so the risk conversation, as well, we can call it a perception, but perceptions can be real. And we are not breaking the perceptions by going to the weakest of us, okay? And so once again, the conversation around AI, 80% of the African continent, so my life is now about data and figures, right? 80% of the African continent is in digital darkness. So for us, the conversation around AI is not about the robots on the streets that we see here at Davos. It's about how do you get internet access to the weakest and the poorest of us. For as long as we are not addressing those last mile issues, there's a brilliant book by Paul Collier called The Bottom Billion. And the idea of the bottom billion is that the poorest people still want good services. And the poorest people still want you to come to invest. And that is a challenge we have now. That we have created, even in the investment, and yes, I've worked in philanthropy extensively. Philanthropy is good as a catalytic mechanism, but it is not the totality of how you can reverse poverty. Mm-hmm. Poverty is the problem, okay? And so when you're talking about, yes, like Cohen and Impact Fund and all of that, it is not easy to do. We have to really talk about how difficult it is. So when you see all the funds doing it on the continent, the first thing you have to acknowledge is how difficult it is. Everyone talks about Alethea Capital. And every meeting I go to, I say, isn't it sad that we're only talking about one female-led indigenous fund that has crossed the 100 million mark? Because it is completely difficult to do. So we should be investing in things that make it easier. Investment readiness for women entrepreneurs. It's not a cliche, it's an imperative. This idea of de-risking is about de-risking the entire collective and portfolios of women. Get women into creating aggregations of women entrepreneurs. Don't fund one. Aggregate them like we've done with coffee farmers or like indeed with ACE. Aggregate them, fund them, invest in them so that they can have a collective pool. Having done it, I can tell you that the environment is vicious. Yes, it is vicious. Female-led fund managers are a dying species. A lot of them drop the funds and go back to take jobs, because it is very, very difficult to do. And so I think women need to become capital providers. I'm not asking you to start your own fund. I'm saying put your money in the funds that exist. Go in there, contribute to them. The only reason Women for Women International is surviving today, and we didn't die like all the other women-led NGOs that were totally dependent on USAID, was because over 100,000 of our individual donors are women. Women that give us $15, $20, some of them put us in their will. Mm-hmm. And so when everyone was closing down, we stayed open. And that was really an eye-opener for me. So when I was starting, I called an impact fund, but when it was time to start the fund, it was the man who was willing to invest in me. And so I would encourage everyone who has means. Yes, we are now a lot more well-to-do, and so we need to be putting money in the things that we believe in. It's not putting money where our mouth is, it's putting money where our heart is. We need to be there. We need to make sure that everyone is celebrating Aurora Capital, but I know what Adeswa went through because I remember those days of closing her first fund. So it's not about that, and go and say, what do you need? Can I put my $5,000? Can I put my $10,000? Because when she's talking about closing a second fund, it has to be that we are on the ledger. Most of the people that fund the work I do, sadly, as Women for Women, in DRC on paper is one of the richest countries in the world. Most of them are white American women. For 18 years, we have built a prototype in Rwanda. For 18 years, we've been working with women entrepreneurs in Rwanda. People go into Rwanda. If you're ever in Rwanda, go and look for the Women Opportunity Center. We've been building that for 18 years. It is now a prototype of a successful business model to usher women that have been in conflict to thrive as entrepreneurs, fully funded by Americans. So as long as Africans keep doing this thing, this dance that we do, and we are not making sure that we are also part of the capital provision, and people treat us like we continually come cap in hand, nothing will shift. So what needs to shift? The conversation around the African diaspora is one that I think everyone talks about it at the peripheral level, but there are Africans with means, but they want the same standards they would get in every other place that they live. And so we have to create channels and vehicles to fund that. So my unjaded view and very objective view is the passion is right, but we have to look at what we're doing as Africans ourselves.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And talking about putting our money where our heart is, reminds me of how our mothers used to pool their resources to fund university education, to fund big purchases for their families. So, this is just an advanced kind of level of that practice. So we're running out of time. Do we have time for questions? No, okay. So I'm just going to say, she's very strict. So I'm just going to go from Pusi across. One sentence, what would you prioritize first to finance Africa's next stage of growth?
Education.
Okay. Short and sweet.
Changing the narrative.
Fantastic.
I would say healthcare.
Become a capital provider.
I'm going to try my best to be very concise. I want to see a blended capital stack where the government of Nigeria is participating in private markets in the same way that we see China doing. China owns a bit of every single unicorn, every big success that you see coming out of China. There's no reason why Nigeria can't do the same thing. I want to see us participating early and giving our people the opportunity to prove their thesis, to prove it. Everyone in Nigeria is brilliant. We have talent, we have ingenuity. They deserve the opportunity to prove it.
And thank you. A huge round of applause. These are fantastic.
What an amazing panel. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Let's do the picture.